Hello and welcome to the Prevent and Perform podcast, episode 3. Today, my guest is Alex Vernon.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on, Alex.
That's no problem.
So, just a little introduction to Alex. So, Alex has a sports therapy degree, like me, but then became a teacher.
Yep.
And Alex is also a real enthusiast for running.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just to start, how important is running in your life and why?
Yeah, running started for me back in lockdown. It was one of those charity nominations like Run 5, Donate 5 sort of things. That just sort of kept me going through a bit of like a nothingness period when everybody sort of stopped. It's become quite a routine. So I'm out every week. I'm out a couple of times a week, I'd say. It keeps me grounded, gives me good routine. I enjoy the training probably quite a lot. I enjoy racing as well. Every time I can get out, I will. But yeah.
Perfect. So you've completed everything from park run to marathon?
Yeah. So when I started, obviously everything was on my own. So for about a year, I was like same 5K route around Churchtown where I live, and I was like, I'll do that every time, and I'll run it flat out. Try to get better, and I wasn't. And then I found out about like park run. Me and my friend, we went and realised there was a good group of runners around there as well. Both in performance aspect and also like gaining like quite a social benefit from it. And then as time passed, I got invited to run with Southport, Southport Waterloo Athletics Club, run very well locally, probably the favoured club locally in terms of like going to competitions and things like that I'm aware of. And from that, I've gone to 10Ks. From 10K, I went to a half marathon. And then in this year, in May, I did my first marathon, first and only marathon to this point. Like, yeah.
Which one?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, bro.
So I went up there. I've got a friend up there, in fact, mutual friend up there. And then we suffered the 42 kilometres up there together.
Wow, Jesus. Yeah. And just how did that go compared to what you expected?
It was all right. I'm not going to say I enjoyed my first marathon because it's no one finds a marathon easy. It's hard work. It's miserable by the end. I'm not going to lie to you. That last 2K can put you in a place where you really have to challenge yourself. But I got through it. Got my finisher's medal. Just had to dig deep and
how did you celebrate afterwards?
In all honesty, I don't really remember it very well. No, I was in a pretty dark place afterwards. So I needed 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I needed 5 minutes sat at the bottom of a tree and a few waters and Lucozades after. Afterwards, to be fair, we drove home, saw my family on the way back as well, so that was nice.
So Alex, I've noticed through your Strava actually that you have started to increase your strength training.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is big for runners of all levels?
It's something that I personally put off for a long time. I'm not a massive fan of the gym. So the more I've got into running and running like at competitive events and stuff, the more I realise it's actually something that I think everybody really should be looking into if you're wanting to make like long-lasting both performance gains and injury prevention as well. Going to the gym for me though is something that's a bit like of a confidence thing. I don't think I've ever really got over like the sort of the fear of everyone's looking and sort of observing what you're doing. But the more I go, the more I realise actually it's just you in sort of your own zone, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. What kind of focus would you have when you're in the gym? Lower body or a bit of everything?
So yeah, I do a bit of a mix. It depends what I'm after on the day, really. Because if I've got a race at the weekend, I'm not going to go on a Thursday night and train legs. It just doesn't. Yeah. It depends on my week.
That's a rookie error.
It is. If I've got nothing on in the weekend, though, I'll try and get a gym session early on in the week with lower, doing lots of high reps as well. So I'm looking into like training the muscles while exhausted, sort of thing. So I won't be doing 6 at max effort. I'll be doing more 15 to 20 reps of the same exercise, but just getting used to that leg feeling tired and still getting the technique out and pushing through to the end.
Yeah. So that sounds very familiar because we had a lecturer called Matthew Gregg who used to put us through training till fatigue, training till failure.
Yeah.
And I remember him putting me through some bicep curls once. He said if you want a place on your masters, you've got to bicep curl until your arms are falling off.
He was very clever. He could make the biggest of lads look weak if he wanted to, couldn't he?
He could.
Yeah.
He could. So is that where it all started, do you think, back on our degree?
I think I do use a bit of like sports therapy knowledge into practical terms. I think, I think probably it's where I gained a bit of confidence to go and do it. And I've had a friend, and it's always good to go with somebody that knows what they're doing as well. So if you ever do know somebody that's like really comfortable in the gym, just tag along to them and just sort of copy what they're doing. Like even if it's just like a settling in period, and then you sort of learn what's going to hit the zones, what's going to strengthen you, what's going to really like tick the box for the gym session.
So I think just while we're on that subject, I mean, I hear a lot about the runner's muscle, soleus, and this is such an important muscle for runners. I think the general runner or the general gym goer wouldn't necessarily understand what the soleus does, but I think it's a highly injured muscle for runners. And do you feel like these kind of muscles, gastrocnemius, soleus, in the calves, do you feel like they're pretty vital?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, massively. Yeah. I think I've read somewhere that it's 60% of running is from your knee down.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing, whether it be an easy run or maybe something with a bit of push or tempo, 60% of your effort is below that knee joint there, which is always so crucial.
Yeah.
So if you're training the resistance in fatigue with your anterior, posterior muscles, I think that's going to massively benefit you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So just touching on that in a little bit more detail, Alex, how would you structure your rest or your ratios throughout the week?
Yeah, as I've said before, it depends on like if I'm racing at the weekend or if I've got a bit of a free weekend to sort of do what I want. I'm somebody who doesn't really run that many kilometers a week. I vary it from 20 to 35. 35 for me is a push.
What would you say is classed as a lot?
I think if you're going over 40 kilometers, I think a lot of like Strava is brilliant, but the one thing is that it can be actually detrimental for is make people thinking like that 50-kilometer weeks are normal. They're not. It's a lot of miles. It's a lot of distance, and that requires a lot of progressive overload and not just I'm going to start, I'm going to see what they're doing, I'm just going to copy. Because I know people that have been running for 30 years and have trained the body to run 7-8 times a week and cope with that. And my body, unfortunately, I've tried in my marathon training, I was going out 4 times a week at minimum, and I ended up getting an injury in my knee that I couldn't quite shift. And for 3 months of my marathon training, I was going out and I'd stop at the end of the road because I just couldn't go any further. So I like to give myself maybe up to 3 times a week running.
Yeah. And was there any point of that training where you actually worried whether you'd be able to compete?
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah. I think the Edinburgh Marathon's at the end of May, and I booked it in January. So I thought I gave myself quite a good quarter of a year, third of a year to sort of plan out a marathon training plan. And as I went along, I had Liverpool Half Marathon in March, 2 months before it. And I was like, this is going to be a nice little tester. I'll go at marathon pace. I ended up going a bit quicker, as you do in these races. But I finished it and I thought, I'm in trouble here. I'm not going to be able to put what I want in, because everybody naturally, when they start planning a marathon, I feel like a lot of people that I know have a target in the head.
Yeah.
And I was a bit worried for that. And I think that made me worry. And then that made me think I need to go out tonight and train.
Yeah.
And actually, I should have just rested, should have given myself 2 weeks off or whatever I needed and prioritized that, getting that right.
I think you've used the term there that is possibly one of the most important in any form of activity, and that is progressive overload. I think just the importance of that is understated, really.
It is. And I think it's like a comparison thing, isn't it? You just see people, like you can see people around you doing more than you and you just want to better them sometimes. But actually, I think you need to know what your body. I always say, listen to your body. When you're tired, just relax a little bit. When you're feeling it, go for it.
Yeah, a lot of common sense, really.
Yeah,